be analyzing the characters, language, narrative perspective, theme, and we'll do an activity show and tell. Characters, we can have 2 groups on the characters. Basically, you just talk about what you think about the characters. And I divide the characters into 4 groups. Alexander, Pelayo, the villagers, Father Gonzaga, the old man or the angel, and the spider woman. And then what is humorous or ironic about the story's characterization? Are you sympathetic with the characters in any way? And what do you think about the ending? I pick up some interesting comments. For instance, one of you asked, why is there whistling in the heart and sounds in the kidney of the angel? Okay, so this is one comment. And then the other person wrote, respond to this part. This is when they are afraid that the angel is about to die. And then the writer said, why would they care? They have been treating him so cruelly all these years. They must be happy for his death. Okay, so that's another comment that in your discussion you can respond to. Okay, so the first 2 questions, then maybe one group analyzing the language and the narrator of the story. Okay, this is a 3rd-person narration, like the story of an hour, also the 3rd person. I think the story of an hour has a narrator who is a lot more sympathetic than this one. But this doesn't mean that this narrator is all aloof, 很遥远, and judgmental. So the question is whether this narrator is judgmental or sympathetic in any way. So you can talk about the interesting elements. Make sure that you give details, okay, from the text. Or you can talk about what you feel about this narrator, okay? So this is one question for one group. And then theme, I'll take 2 groups. What is the significance of the title, A Very Old Man with Enormous Wings? And what do you think about the ending by considering the title, okay? And in what sense is the story a tale for children? How is the child in the story related to the old man? So this is one for one group. And the supernatural element, because supposedly a very old man, this very old man is an angel. And then we can talk about how the villagers or people nowadays deal with the supernatural, okay? What does the story say about reality and the supernatural? What do you think about Alexander's statement that it was awful living in a hell full of angels? Okay, this is when the chicken coop he lives in falls apart, and then he kind of moves around in the house and appear everywhere, okay? And then finally, one group trying to relate the story to the genre, magic realism. Okay, do you know what magic realism is? In the slide and also in a printout, I provided you the definition. And then what are the magical possibilities in this story? And usually a story of magic realism refrains from giving us a clear moral. This is what makes magic realism, the text of magic realism, different from maybe like fairy tales, okay? So how does this story frustrate and complicate the reader's efforts to fix a definite meaning to the events? Okay, in other words, how can we read the story from multiple perspectives? I think that's a question, okay? In other words, I hope that this group can talk about the magical possibilities in terms of the meanings, the multiple meanings of the text, of this story, okay? And in considering this, one possible direction is to focus on the angel's functions. Besides being a mirror reflecting society, does this angel serve the other functions? Okay, so that's one possible way for you to think of different possible interpretations of the text. Okay, so yeah, here is a reference. There are 6 questions altogether so far. 2 about the characters, 1 about language and the narrator, 2 about the theme, and 1 about magic realism. And then there is a question that all of you should pick up. This is a question that I want each group, all of the groups, to deal with, and we'll have a competition. And to use the story of an hour as an example, for instance, we have the narrator telling us the news about the death of the husband, and then the narrator also tells us how it is heard, how Richard gets the news, and how it is told to Mrs. Mallard. So this is the tell part. And the show part, like the description of the details of the window view, that's the show part. Okay, and it shows the details for us to feel that we are almost by the side of Mrs. Mallard, looking out of the window and trying to appreciate the sense of liberation from this window view. So that's the difference between the show and tell. Okay, so here's your assignment. Try to find out 1 example of the tell part and the show part, and then try to explain or analyze how effective they are. Group 1. You are in charge of paragraph 1 and 2, right? So which for you is the show part and the tell part?
In paragraph 1, on the 3rd day of the rain, they had killed so many crabs inside the house that Pleo had to cross his drenched courtyard and throw them into the sea.
So the first sentence until stench, right?
Yes.
And this for you is a show part. What does it show?
It showed that living condition on that time was awful. Therefore, parents will think that child was sick due to the stench.
Okay. For one thing, this is a village that has just been flooded. Now, maybe this is a bit like Kaohsiung, what is happening to Kaohsiung now. It's been flooded. But what makes this village different from Kaohsiung is that this village is right by the sea. So a lot of crabs have been flushed onto the shore, and even to the house of Palayo. Okay, it makes the place very stinks. It stinks a lot. Maybe it smells fishy. 有很多那个鱼腥味. Okay, so this is the show part. Okay, and what is the tell part?
And in the second paragraph, frightened by that nightmare, Pleo and Ed ran to get Elisenda, his wife, who was putting compresses on the sick child. And this might be the tell part.
He took her to the rear of the courtyard. This part? Where does the tell part end? So do you mean just the first sentence of this paragraph, which is the tell part?
The first sentence.
The first sentence of the second paragraph?
Yes.
Okay, good. So what is the function of the tell part here? Remember that this part, the sentence is followed by their discovery of the old man. And then there is a description of the old man, how he has a bald skull, very few teeth, and his wings are like that of the buzzard, etc., etc. Okay, so what does the first sentence mean and function? How does it function?
It just explained that they were very surprised and of the old man in their courtyard.
Okay, so this is part of the plot element, because in paragraph 1 we see we have Palayo find the old man, see the old man in the backyard. So the second paragraph, the beginning of the second paragraph, push forward the plot to show how Pelaya goes and get his wife, so that the two of them will go and take a closer look at the old man. And that's where the description starts, right? Okay, so in these two paragraphs, indeed, there are more descriptions than the telling of the story. But there has to be the tell part, to make sure that the story moves along. So the tell part either gives a general background or it starts the motion, it starts the action of the story. Okay, group 2. Where's group 2? Okay, so you're in charge of 3 to 5, right? So where is the show part?
He was lying in a corner drying his open wings in the sunlight among the fruit peels and breakfast leftovers that the early risers had thrown him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This sentence?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He was captive in a dirty place.
Mm-hmm.
And we can imagination.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here we have the description of this old man and what he experiences. Okay, how he is placed in a dirty place and with food peels around him, and also the sentence that follows: alien to the impertinences of the world, he only lifted his antiquarian eye and murmured something in his dialect, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so how does this show part function? What is the function of this part? Does this make us understand the old man more, or?
From this sentence, we can know the angel, he lost his indignity.
He lost what?
Dignity.
Oh, okay. He's mistreated, in other words.
Yeah.
He's mistreated by the human beings. Okay, how about the tell part?
We think that the tell part is in the whole paragraph 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And the writer tells us that the beginning of finding him, and then the couple lock him in with hens, with chickens,
Mm-hmm.
and he's obviously mistreated by human, and then the child of the couple was miraculously cured, and they thought that it was because the angel, and then they sent him away.
They want to set him free.
Set him free, and they
Go ahead.
they also gave him food, but in the end, they find that the villagers was tossing him with food and leftover something. Yeah.
Treating him like a circus animal.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So how do these two paragraphs function in the telling of the story?
Show us that the
The tail part shows the background that which the angel first entered to the woman's house.
Okay. Or maybe we can say that it's the beginning of the action. If we see the main action of the story as the villagers' interest in the angel, then this is the building of the interest, the increase, how the interest increases. At first, the husband and wife, they are afraid of this angel, both because of the sickness of the child and because of the strangeness of this angel. but then he looks familiar, and then the woman, the wise woman, says that he's an angel. Okay, and then that's the definition of this person. And then after that, we have the beginning of the action, how more and more villagers come to take a look at him. So this group, they are in charge of these 3 paragraphs, and by comparison, paragraph 5 is more descriptive than paragraph 3 and 4. Because in paragraph 5, the narrator wants us to take a closer look at the angel and how he is mistreated by the villagers. Okay? Okay, group 3.
Do we start from the show part? I think this paragraph, the 6th and 7th paragraphs, for the details, it just shows you that which of the curious came from far away. As we can see in paragraph number 7, the most unfortunate invalids on earth came in search of health. A poor woman who since childhood has been counting her heartbeats and had run out of numbers, and a Portuguese man who couldn't sleep, a sleepwalker who got up at night to undo the things he had done, and many others with less serious ailments. These, I think, are the details.
So what do you think about the details?
They're really descriptive.
And
it's
not as descriptive as maybe the narration of the story of an hour is. Say for instance, in the story of an hour, we have really a zoom in to the heart and mind of Mrs. Mallard. But here, their illnesses are named only. Each illness is described in one sentence. So what do you think about the details here? Do you feel sympathetic with these people?
A little bit. A little bit.
Really? No, like the woman who has been counting her heartbeats.
But
and now
most of these ailments sound pretty silly.
Yeah.
It's really hard to understand. Why someone would count their own heartbeats.
And then round out of the number. How can one round out of the number, right?
It's kind of confusing. But in the way how it was described is it gives the reader a pretty vivid image.
Right.
On how the story is presented. So it is thereby interesting.
Yeah. The vivid details about these illnesses or the ailments make the story interesting and a little bit funny. It doesn't make, it's a bit like a parade of human follies. 好像一连串的人的愚蠢哈。But I don't think the presentation is cold and indifferent. I think the presentation is rather neutral, 就是很中性的。So we tend to laugh, but we wouldn't feel that this is something that we never will suffer from. Maybe one day we'll also start to count our heartbeats. Who knows? Maybe before you enter a very big exam, when you have nothing to do, then the only thing you'll do is to count your heartbeats until you forget about all of your answers. Okay, I think that's something possible. That sometimes we are foolish. We have a lot of foolish things to do. So I think this is indeed a funny part that we get attracted to. How about the tell part?
The background.
Where?
I think the background for paragraphs 6 and 7. Just basically, it starts with how Father Gonzaga's prudence fell on sterile hearts, and that news of the captive angel spread with such rapidity, and then how the curious came from far away.
Yeah, I think especially paragraph 6 provides us with, again, an overview of people's interest in the angel. And there is such a great interest that Alexander starts to charge them money, each with 5 cents, so that she can earn money. So this is again, a kind of telling of the background, telling of the general development of the story. Okay, and if I want to compare paragraph 6 and 7, I would say that paragraph 7 is more descriptive. Today I want you to make this distinction because I think that when a story is more descriptive, usually you read more slowly. When a story is all action or about the plot, then you read very fast. But then sometimes almost every story, has a kind of nice balance between the show and tell part, between the development of the plot and description of the details. And usually it is the description of the details that we should focus on, because usually there are more meanings implied in those descriptions. And I want to prepare you for this because the following 2 stories are a lot more descriptive than this one. Okay, so definitely you have to read those descriptions in more detail.